As a parent, do you ever feel really frustrated when you feel like your child should be more independent? Maybe they ask you to do something for them or help them with something that you know perfectly well they can do on their own. Like when your little one knows how to get dressed, but wants you to do it or wants you to help them do it. Or with your older kid, they're asking you to look for something or find something or figure out how something works. And you know perfectly well that they should at least try or that they can do it themselves. Well, the first place we need to start is with a little bit of self reflection. Sorry, I'm not going to give you an easy answer and say do X, Y, and Z, and now your child will be independent as appropriate. I think for a lot of us, we overcompensate for our kids. We do things for them. We forget that they have developed and matured. And so we're in old patterns of doing things for them that they could do for themselves. Or we find that it's easier to do it ourselves, or we want it done right. So we take over, or we're afraid our child may fail, or we're afraid our child will not feel good about themselves. Or maybe we like to control how things happen. There are a lot of things at play in this, but a constant lesson that I'm working on is to pause and not rush in. For me, it feels good to help my kids. You know, last night my son was trying to turn something off and he was like, I don't know how to turn this off. And my first instinct was to go in and do it. But I paused and I said, okay, what do you think you should try? Do you have any ideas? Where could you look for where that off switch could be? And I kind of prompted him through a thinking process. And of course, he figured it out in like 20 seconds. His automatic default was, hey, mom, come help me. But the most loving thing I can do in those moments is to let them figure it out. A lot of times, our children are over dependent on us when we have overcompensated for them. Are there things you're doing for your child that they should be doing for themselves? Because what happens sometimes is we're the ones that have created that. We're the ones that have done everything and taken over everything and made sure everything was done just right. And then we get mad at them when they won't do it. We get mad at them when they're not trying to figure it out. One of the phrases I use a lot is be a problem solver. See if you can figure it out. And if you can't, then come back and find me. Other times I rush in and do it. And I think, why did I do that? Now he's going to have to ask me again instead of him just figuring out how to do it. But one of the most loving things we can do is really help our kids struggle, let them, try to figure it out, let them learn the hard way. We can still be supportive. Like, I know it's so frustrating when you can't figure it out right away. What do you think you should try next? Like, we can still provide support emotionally, but really try to ask yourself, am I overcompensating for my children? Am I over functioning for them? Am I doing things that they should be doing for themselves or that I need to teach them the skills and the little breakdowns, the little micro steps that lead them to be able to do it? Um, there are a bunch of great books talking about this kind of thing. I love Jess Leahy's The Gift of Failure. I love Ned Johnson and William Stixred's book, The Self-Driven Child. I love Julie Lythcott-Hames's book, How to Raise an Adult. There are so many books that I could go on and name, but these are all around the idea of allowing our children to have experiences of learning and figuring it out and failing so that they can learn. We can still provide some balcony support for them. But if you feel frustrated that your child is leaning on you too much, it may be because you're over functioning. Now, one other quick note, sometimes when kids can do things on their own and they ask us to help them or to do it, it may be because it feels good to them. I know when my little boys would be like, you put my jammies on. They liked that closeness, that connection, that being nurtured in that way. And that's perfectly fine to do that kind of thing from time to time. Don't be rigid around not doing anything for your children, but just be thoughtful about the kinds of experiences you're providing to let them build skills, letting them underfunction at times even. There are very few things where a right way to do it requires you to step in and make sure it's perfect. That doesn't really matter. It's really our presence, our support, and allowing our kids the experience to find independence so that We can have relationships with them that are not full of frustration and exasperation, like, fine, I'll do it. When we rush in like that, we deprive them of learning and we sit in resentment and frustration. So, do a little self evaluation. Are you over functioning? Are you overcompensating? Are you doing things for your kids that they can do for themselves or that they can learn how to do through your prompting and coaching? Give it a thought. Think about ways you can allow your child to thrive and develop by you taking a step back.